Book 1, Law of Salimi, Chapter 57, Principle of Knowledge Sharing, and Law of Intellectual Property. I am torn in the middle when it comes to writing a book, because in my deepest depth of my heart, I would wish to write so that I could share as much knowledge as possible for free. On the other hand, I am currently in the biggest debt crisis in my life, where I could be easily fell into bankruptcy at any given time without any employment or other possible means of income. The only way that I could make any money at this moment in time is to sell something that I own in my life, which seem very vague because materialistically speaking, I am very poor indeed. There is nothing in my possession of physical item that might be worthwhile to be sold to anyone, because virtually everything that I own at this moment in time would be considered as old and outdated. Therefore, my possession might not be desired by anyone. I had been performing preliminary research on the price range when it comes to ebook or other publication for books in the same genre of mine. It seemed that I felt that the present price range would rather be quite expensive, which might be prohibitive to some members of society from possessing this book, considering sharing knowledge is the main purpose for me writing this book, as well as numerous other future books. I also researched about payment methods that would allow me to sell the book to the masses public at a global scale. It seemed that the term ebook would represent certain type of writing where it would not focus on the same genre that my book would fall into, as this book would be considered as a real life story or very close to autobiography. Nonetheless, I do not have any money to produce the book as physical publication demands for it, which led me to take the path of self-publishing ebook without assistance of professional printing presses, considering I am currently broke and in huge debt. Thus, I decided to try publishing the book as ebook, albeit the content would be similar to a real life story. In effect, it is a book about real life story in digital format rather than actual physical printing, which might increase the price of such book. As such, without any limitation as dictated by most publication firms that I spoke to, I felt that this digital format would be the best method for me to share as much knowledge as possible without establishing a huge price for the book. Considering that there would be no physical printing costs, what price should I charge for the book, since everything was done in digital format which utilized time, effort, electricity, laptops, internet services, thousands of references, and 33 years of life experience and numerous other sources that bring out the completion of this book. How much should the price of the book be? By this method, I essentially do not pay for any agent fees, editing fees, publication services fees, consultation fees, and numerous other fees that might be tied if I pursue writing in traditional business-oriented format. By doing so, it would clearly increase the price of my book, which might stop people from buying and learning from any knowledge that could be shared. As explained before, I hate to cause harm to anyone, as my intention of writing books would simply act as a medium of sharing knowledge to the masses public. Thus, I would love to simply give it for free if it would be possible, since I am in need of some income so that I could repay my debt and do not be a burden to anyone around me. I still need to put out a price for each book. With enormous struggle on my side, I finally decide to charge Rm 10 ringgit as the price of this book, so it would not be too much of a burden as well as not too cheap, so that I could free myself from debts, considering the whole amount of 10 ringgit per book would be acquired for me alone as funding that I could stay alive and repay my debt. However, I would like to promise to myself that after I had repaid my debt and able to live a moderate living, I would contribute every cent that I gained from the sale of my books in the path of Islam. As I am writing this book on February 2nd, 2015, everyone should be able to observe me whether I truly uphold this promise that I had made to myself in my life. I would not reach a luxurious living lifestyle because I am trying my best to be in moderation and practice Islam as a way of life. I had explained the concept of wealth in earlier chapter where I simply do not wish to be a millionaire. Mathematically speaking, for 100 books sold, I could generate 1,000 ringgit. At 1,000 books sold, I could generate 10,000. At 12,000 books sold, I could repay my whole debt that had been lingering in my life. Thus, it seemed that it would be extremely possible for me to be a millionaire if the book reached a sale of 100,000 units at global level. Instead, before that possibility would simply allow to happen, I would like to promise to myself that I would not become a millionaire by spending any income that I had gained after living in a moderation living, free from any debt in the path of Islam, into the path of Islam, which meant the category of wakaf, amal jariyah, or continuous permanent donation. For those that might be skeptical with the sale possibility, do not worry because I do not intend to write just this one book. Technically, this is my third book that I had wrote, and I do intend to write hundreds more if Allah the Almighty wills it. With RM10 being set as a tolerable price for everything that I had put in order to write this book, now comes the concept of sharing of knowledge, which was in opposition of the law of intellectual property right. With any publication company, I need to follow the law of intellectual property that had been established to protect the profit of the writer or author of any intellectual property. As explained in numerous chapters of this book, I do not care much about money. Thus, it would be rather complicated if I joined any publication company where their goals would be to maximize profits, whereas mine would be to maximize benefits to the masses public. From this perspective, I had decided to try on publishing this book in digital format without any expert help or involvement from any publication company at the set price of RM10, which should be enough for me to continue my life in moderation, as well as kept on writing as much as I could in my lifetime. It also allowed me to be absolutely free from any limitation and restriction that was set by anyone, since I seem to have devised an ingenious plan to protect my book and myself from such rules and regulations that limit the idea and sharing of knowledge to the masses public. I also believe in the concept that sharing of knowledge should be free and made available to the masses public, with the least possible cost in doing so, which explain the price of RM10 for each book. As such, I do not wish to invoke or implement the law of intellectual property because I felt that it would act in opposition of knowledge sharing based on the teachings of Islam, maqasid syariah, and the true essence and spirit of Islam tesi. Thus, I would like to state that as the author of this book, I would wish to allow the sharing of any knowledge gained and acquired from reading my life story written in this book. Moreover, I cannot stop anyone from copying this book since it is a digital copy and share them with others. However, I would like to inform that each reader should at least try their best to buy these books in order to allow me to generate some income so that I could live my life in moderation and in accordance to the teachings of Islam, as well as free myself from my huge debt of RM 120,000 that could render me into bankruptcy. If that happened, it might be possible that I could not continue to write more books in the future, which would impede the process of wealth in sharing of knowledge to the masses public. Hence, I hope that each reader of this book would purchase the book so that to show support on my effort to write more books in the future, as well as sharing of knowledge, especially when I am currently in the state of destitute in terms of material wealth and burdened with huge debt over my life. I hope that after I am free from debt, I would try to be more willing to allow everyone to share more of my book for free instead of paying RM10 for each book purchased. If you think about it, it RM10 ringgit of, of Malaysian ringgit is not very much of money for a book, since I do not wish to write the book to make money, but instead to fulfill my duty as a Muslim in terms of sharing knowledge to the masses public. I might not be the great genius of a scholar that would be at par with Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, or many other numerous scientists all over the world, but I feel that I do possess something that most of these great scholars seem to be lacking, which is the perspective of Islam in the subject matter discussed by them. Why me? I might not be as knowledgeable as the great scholars that I had interviewed, but it seemed to me that Allah the Almighty had a plan for me to arrive at this junction of my life, where I am capable to write and share knowledge with the perspective of Islam, as well as possessing the true essence and spirit of Islam Tesi. Most of the scholars that I had interviewed had their own different path in their own life, which were fighting in the path of Islam, but yet it differed to what I am trying to do by writing this book of mine and future upcoming books. I had been provided by Allah the All-Knowing with the abilities and opportunities in my life that had set me up to the present situation that I am in right now in my life, which essentially forced me to finally write down virtually everything that I had learned throughout my short 33 years of life so far. I am not boasting that I am a great scholar in any way or form, but simply someone who was lucky enough to arrive at this stage in my life, where I do not complete my PhD program yet. Yet I had been able to discover enough knowledge that had been baffling numerous great scholars that had spent all of their life to research and study without arriving at my discovery during my PhD research. I felt that it would be a great loss for the masses public if I decided to keep all of the secrets and knowledge gained in my PhD research and thesis that I was unable to complete from being shared to the masses public. I would fail my duty to share this wealth of knowledge that does not belong to me, but simply shown to me by Allah the Almighty from His will as a responsibility that I would share them to the masses public. Thus, here I am today as a poor student with a huge debt on my back, trying to write a book that could not even afford to pay for any publishing company in attempt to share the great wealth of knowledge that I stumbled in my PhD research. Basically speaking, this book would simply serve as an introduction and as a simple explanation about how and why I am writing this book. It should provide enough reason for the reader that should justify the reason for writing this book in digital format in effort to share as much knowledge as possible to the masses public, considering that I do not have any money at this moment in time. Although I would like to highlight that I do not do this for the sake of invoking any form of charitable donation from anyone, because there are others who might need them more than me. I know that someone out there might be willing and able to donate the whole sum of my debt as a gesture of helping someone like me. While I appreciate the thought, I do not welcome them on my behalf, since I am not doing this for charity reason or invoke any charitable donation from anyone. I also would not allow anyone to pay more than the price of RM10 for each book purchased. However, after numerous contemplation, I might consider on allowing to purchase multiple copies of this book to be sent to different individuals via different email addresses from a single purchase. By doing so, I believe it would allow anyone to share this book with others through the purchase of the book from me, who is the sole seller and distributor of this book at this point in time. The method of payment would be through to my account, which is as follows. My name Azim Salimi bin Luqman, the account number 700-535-1753, bank name CIMB Malaysia, my email address azimsalimi@yahoo.com, my blog address azimsalimigoblog.blogspot.com, which at this point in time is not active. After payment of 10 ringgit for each book has been deposited, send me a proof, evidence of payment or transfer of payment details to my email address above. After confirming that I had received the payment, I would send a digital copy of this book to your intended email address that you must provide or state. While I do not wish to implement the law of intellectual property right for any of my books, I do appreciate an honest and sincere business transaction from all of my consumers and readers. Moreover, I would set up a detailed advertisement on my blog, as per my blog address stated above, to explain everything possible regarding the whole book in its digital format before anyone making a purchase. This would be in line with the teachings of Islam, where the seller must explain everything possible about the product before making any sale to the buyer. So, I hope the reader had read through the advertisement stated in my blog site before purchasing this book, as I would be the sole seller and distributor of the book. I hope that no one would purchase this book from any other source without my consent or official notification made to the consumer, because it might be from an illegal source, unless I made it an official notification about it. I will also allow for anyone to send any question to me via my email address regarding the book, as well as other related matter, which I would try my best to reply, unless it had reached a size that was beyond my control to provide an appropriate response. For now, I hope that my current choice and method of sale as described in this chapter would be favorable to all readers that might consider to purchase this book. Moreover, for any payment from outside of Malaysia, I would recommend doing international transfer to my account or utilize the banking services such as telegraphic transfer or MoneyGram method that is available to CIMB banking services. All in all, I hope that this book would be made available to as much of the masses public as possible, with the intention of sharing knowledge about my life experience. If you do purchase this book from me, I would like to express my gratitude and hope that you enjoy the first of many series of books in the upcoming future. Thanks for supporting my writing and hoping that you could gain as much knowledge as possible from reading this book. If you wish to further support my effort, please share the story to others and encourage them to buy the book at RM10 or MYR10 in Malaysian ringgit, which would translate to about USD 275 in United States dollar. Honestly, I do not think that it was an expensive price where everyone should be able to afford and purchase this book. I would be okay if you would share this book in your close family members in case you wish to explain about certain terms in the book to a younger child. However, please don't resell this book to anyone else simply because it might not be fair to me for all of the effort, time and research and everything that I have put into writing this book. Nonetheless, I hope everyone could enjoy reading my life story, which should act as an introduction to my future books that I intend to write as soon as I had completed this one. Please enjoy, have fun and be curious in life. I pray to Allah the Merciful that everyone who had read this book would develop a nature of passion towards learning and knowledge, inshallah. With that, we have reached the end of our chapter 57 and hope to see you in the next chapter. Thank you very much for listening to this video and hope to see you soon.